Well, welcome everyone to Mindful Mondays with Laura Cross, where we are your resource for education, connections, and collaborations to support you on your wellness journey. And I would like to start by thanking sponsors Seb Brantigan, White Sands Premier Travel, and Quantum Awakening for their sponsored appearance, because these sponsored appearances is what makes Mindful Mondays possible. But we are thrilled to welcome our guest speaker today, Seb Brantigan. He is the co-founder of DBSS Digital and a true pioneer in the realm of digital marketing and automation. With nearly a decade of experience helping 7- and 8-figure earners amplify their marketing strategies through cutting-edge automation systems, Seb is here to share his insights on how AI can transform not just business, but lives. And as a world traveler and a cultural enthusiast, Seb believes that true success comes from connection and collaboration. His passion for empowering others is contagious, and his proven strategies will inspire you to elevate your game and embrace innovation in your journey to success. Seb, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, Laura. Yeah, it's a real pleasure, and I'm excited to be here today and hopefully share some good stuff that's really valuable for everyone. So thanks again for having me here.
Oh, absolutely. So tell me, what inspired you to dive into the world of digital marketing and automation?
Really great question. I mean, for me, it's something that I really found by accident. So back when I was, 17, 18, I was working a full-time job and I really wasn't sure what I wanted to do with my life, in all honesty. So I was trying to find different ways to make money online, tried to understand starting businesses. Then I really got into marketing, and basically I built a bit of a brand for myself through social media, predominantly through Facebook, by sharing what I'd learned in terms of marketing with other business owners. And then I had my first client reach out to me wanting to learn social media, automation, digital marketing. And really from then, that was back in 2015, 2016, when I got that first client. From that point when I started to grow a business out of it, and it's here I am now. So that was kind of the beginnings of it. So fast forward to today, yeah, that's really how it first started in a nutshell.
Yeah, and there's so many people that struggle with it. I think a lot of people fight it when marketing's never normally a big thing, and then you've got social media thrown on top and everything. So yeah, I think it's more and more people need to know more about. I'm sure you've been through a lot of trial and tribulations with getting it to work.
Yeah, definitely. It's yeah, there's definitely been a journey, really learning and understanding digital marketing, applying it to my clients and other businesses as well. Yeah, it's definitely, yes, I've seen a lot of horror stories and, had a lot of things go wrong, made a lot of mistakes. So yeah, it's definitely, like I say, been a real journey.
Yeah, can you share maybe like part of like, is it kind of like the transformative power of automation for a business? How does that?
Yeah, of course. So how does that come into play? Well, yeah, there's a lot of aspects to it. One of the things that I look at when it comes to automating something in your business or looking at automation is the idea of automation is just doing something automatically that you'd otherwise do manually, in other words. So one thing I always get people to look at in your business is what's taking up the most amount of your time. And even I've even applied this to things in my personal life where it's even something simple like forgetting to take the bins out, that we call it here in the UK, or the trash, right? Even putting like reminders to send you a text message to empty the bins once a week. You can use it for anything. But going back to my original point, it's about looking at what's taken up the most amount of time in your business, what's costing you time and therefore costing you money, and then looking at automating that. And that's normally where I start. And of course, there's other solutions, like you can delegate certain things in your business as well. But when it comes to automating what you do, and I always say keep it very simple. Start with something that, again, is taking a lot of your time that you want to automate, but make sure it's something simple. Get something simple working and automated before having to move on to other things. A lot of people think automation has to be complicated, and really it can be very simple. So those are some kind of tips around starting with automation and where to go and beginning the process.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I for one, I've gotten used to AI, but I know there's a lot of fears about AI out there. In your experience, what are some of the common misconceptions maybe that people have about AI and automation?
So I think definitely in particular with AI, people think that it can be a bit of a bad thing. Of course, there's a lot of horror stories out there around AI where people are using it for bad, and that's you can argue that about anything. You know, people use emails in a bad way. They use emails to try and deceive people and access login information or banking information. So there's a lot of conceptions that AI can be a negative thing and can do harmful things. But again, you could argue that about anything. So that's one thing that I hear a lot about AI. Another thing that I hear as well is that it's replacing humans, which there might be some truth in that. But actually, when you think about the demand for things has really skyrocketed. For example, you go to any supermarket, grocery store, and you see a lot of those machines where you go and check out your shopping and you pay for things. There's a load of machines there, but then there's also a load of humans on standby in case one of the machines doesn't work or something goes wrong, right?
Right.
So and that's stemmed from the demand going up, right? The demand for more people buying stuff than ever, more human beings on the planet than ever have been. Therefore, to keep up with that demand, it makes sense to have automation and AI in place, but there'll still always be that human element, I think, at least for the near future.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I was gonna say because it takes people really, right? Because it's learning from people. We're programming it. We're giving it the information to start with. So there is still people, but I can see how some things may be going away. But on the other hand, it could also possibly create more for people.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I heard this really good quote by um, comedian. I think his name's what's his name? Jimmy Carr. That's it. So he's a big comedian here in the UK. If you've not heard of him, whoever's listening, one of the things he said is think of AI as like a cover band for like the Beatles, right? Or for whatever your favorite band is.
Mhm.
They'll always be the original. They'll always be the real thing, right? And think of AI as like a cover band. You can get some really good cover bands that sound exactly like the real thing, and you might not even know, and that's true. But there'll always be signs and giveaways that it's not the real original thing. So that's the way I always like to think of it. And no one ever thinks anything negative about cover bands either.
Right.
Generally speaking. So that I think is a really good analogy when it comes to thinking about AI and automation. These things are here to help you. Of course, they do require a bit of, I don't like to use the word programming, but a bit of initial input and a bit of training perhaps in using them the right way and using the most effective way. They're not always like a plug and play type of thing. It takes a bit of initial work to get it exactly how you're looking for it to be. But that's how I approach it, and that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, and I like that analogy because in some ways it could also be flattering too. If you had a cover band, someone thought enough of you or your thing to make a cover of it. But so how can small businesses leverage the automation um, without overwhelming their resources?
Yeah, really good question. So I guess touching on what I mentioned earlier, starting really simple. So going more specific with, well, where do you start? That's great, but what do I actually start with? Well, it can be something really simple, like when someone purchases a product or becomes a client of yours, that's a process that you should automate in terms of fulfillment and onboarding. So if someone makes a purchase with you, becomes a client, then it makes sense to automatically send them a welcome email as soon as they make a payment to you, as soon as they purchase. And of course, you want to have tracking on that to know that. Sending them a welcome email with all the information that they need. That's a really good place to start. And I think that's a really important one because you might not be getting loads of customers or loads of clients. Maybe you're in a business where maybe you sell something that's a high price, so you don't get hundreds of customers a month. I still think it's really important to start with something like that because A, it's simple, and B, I've heard of businesses, lose customers because they've not had something simple in place. If someone is has just spent a big amount of money with you, and they're not taken care of, and they're in a bit of a delicate mindset as well. If they're not taken care of, they're not getting the information, or that they get that feeling of, I've not got what I've paid for. It can create buyer's remorse. You could get refunds, chargebacks, could create a bit of unnecessary friction. So that's a really good place to start with, automating that onboarding process. You wouldn't have to automate all of it, but just a very simple welcome email. Here's your next steps. Here's where to go if you're not sure. And it's amazing. I spoke to, and this is really interesting, a friend of mine was running a multiple six figures, now a 7-figure business. When I started working with him, they'd got to multiple six figures without something as simple as a welcome email for new customers. So, but they were having a lot of problems with, again, refunds, chargebacks. They're having a lot of customer complaints. And this was one of the big reasons why. So that's a really great place, a great thing I would say to start with AI and automation.
So, and I think a lot of people do that nowadays, mostly like with their CRMs and their newsletters and stuff that they do. And as one that I know I should automate more myself in the business, because it does make things easier and it takes it off. I guess some of the fear that I would have is the fact that I don't want it to become so automated that it's impersonal, and you lose kind of like that personal touch. So, because to me, there's nothing worse than when you've signed up, maybe you've bought a person's program, but yet it's still shooting you emails to hurry up and sign up and pay for it when you already did. I mean, when that happens, then you kind of definitely know it's automated. And to me, it kind of loses the human touch. Is there a fine line in there, or a way you can control that?
Agreed. Yeah, that's a really good point. You don't want your marketing to look like marketing. You don't want your automations to look like automation. So yeah, that's a really good question. One great way to do that is to make sure you're looking at every possible situation within your automation. So what I mean by that is, let's say you're sending a lot of promotion emails to potential clients. You want to factor in and have something built in where if someone is already a client, or maybe they've booked in a call to discuss becoming a client, you might want to have a process where they're no longer sent those emails. So, and without getting too technical here, there's lots of ways you can do it. And disclaimer, there's lots of different CRM systems, lots of different platforms, which is why I haven't really mentioned any names, because there's just countless of them out there. But what you can basically do is have something called a tag or a list, or basically a way of knowing who's a customer, who's a client, who's an ex-client, maybe who has complained or created a chargeback request. Basically, you want to segment your audience, so you know who's a prospect, who's a client, and have your automation acting accordingly. So that, in other words, you're not sending loads of promotions to existing clients, or maybe potential clients who are interested in speaking with you about working with you. If they're kind of in the middle of that sales process, you probably don't want to, they're already past that initial first step. So you don't want to bombard them with loads more promotions if they've already actioned the promotion. So those are some things to really consider. And the one thing I would do is maybe draw this out, or you can use like an online mind map software, but just map out your automations, map out all of the different scenarios. So again, you're not annoying people, bugging people that are already clients, as an example. So that's one thing that I do recommend doing. The other thing you can do is use people's information inside of the automation and emails that you're sending. As an example, you can add someone's first name into an email in most CRM systems, and you can also add in someone's phone number. So for example, let's say a lead is coming to your pipeline, into your CRM system. You can send an email that says, "Hey Seb, I see that you've just requested information on optimizing your business, growing your business. I just want to double check that your number is," and then you can insert their number. So it's a way of, and obviously that some people will know it's automated, but it's a way of really personalizing the email, and it's a way of initiating more of a response. Because if you're sending that type of email where you're saying, "Is this your correct number?" and they respond yes, you're more likely to get them to respond, more likely to get a bit of a dialogue. It's all about getting responses in your marketing. That's the most important thing, is how effective is your marketing? Are you doing a good enough job of getting responses either by email, text message, phone number? You're going to have a lot of different ways people do respond. But again, how are you getting people to respond? Are you making it easy for them as well? So there's a few things you can do there to make your automations more seamless and more effective and targeted, and also more personalized as well.
So what would you say for people that feel like they are technically challenged, or all of that just sounds like really overwhelming to them?
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely a good thing in a way, because you're learning something. So if it overwhelms you a little bit anyway, that's a good thing. You want it to be a bit overwhelmed, because your brain's kind of growing in a way, so to speak. If you are someone where this is a bit of a challenge and you don't know how to do this, my best advice would be to outsource it, find someone who can do this. There's lots of talented people out there that can build automations, write emails for you. But if you are going to go that route, you still need to understand what the automation can do. You don't have to understand how to build it, but you need to understand the end goal of the automation. It's very much like electricity. We all know what a light switch does in a room that we walk into. We know that if we turn on the light switch, we press our finger on it, and the light comes on, we know that that's the objective of the light switch and of the light in the room, right? But very few of us, I probably can't, but most people can't explain the start and end of how that actually works. Very few
Right. They
people
just know
can
you
sit there
turn on
and,
a switch and a light comes on.
yeah, exactly. Very few people can sit there and accurately explain and clearly explain how that actually works. So it's very much the same thing. You need to understand what is the end goal of your automation. What are you looking to do? And also, it's worth simplifying the process before you make that decision as well. So what I mean specifically is, let's say you're looking to automate a big part of your sales process. You want to look at your sales process itself before you look to automate something, because you don't want to automate something that's really complicated where it doesn't need to be. So let's say you've got a sales process and there's like 10 steps between someone becoming an inquiry and then becoming a paying customer. Can you reduce that to maybe 7 or 8 steps? Because then you've simplified the automation, and then you're also saving yourself time and money by outsourcing it as well. So really, to recap on that, one is to look at what you're automating and understanding the end goal, getting very clear on that. The second one is simplifying the process if you can, or as much as you can. And the third one is hiring an expert, because it's going to save you a lot of time and money, but it's like buying your time back. Because if you have all these automations set up, or an automation set up, then you're buying your time back, because you're getting the system to do the work without you needing to do it as well.
Wow. Yeah. And that makes sense too, to simplify it. Otherwise, you wind up wasting a lot of time, a lot of resources. What role do you think cultural understanding plays in the effective digital marketing strategies?
Yeah, of course. It's a really good question. So I think when it comes to, cultural differences, there's a lot of things there. One of them is, specifically, I'm using a virtual assistant and a team of virtual assistants over in the Philippines. So there's definitely a lot of talented people there that understand AI and automation, digital marketing. So, there's definitely specific areas and groups, and also there's a lot of talent in India, a lot of talent in Nigeria. There's a lot of different specific countries out there that really live and breathe this stuff as well. So that's one aspect to it. Another one is, using these automations in different countries and different kind of situations, as well as obviously reading the room a bit and understanding, one country and one audience is going to be different to another country, another audience. So there's, lots of different examples on that. One of them is, for example, inside of our agency, we're using WhatsApp automation at the moment. But that only really works in specific countries that use WhatsApp quite a lot. For example, it's working very well in the UAE and in Dubai specifically, where they live on WhatsApp. In other countries, we'd have to look at automation through a different platform, through text messaging. So you'd have to understand and really do your research and due diligence on the the different audiences in the different countries and the impact it has there as well.
Yeah, I know WhatsApp has been, picking up more and more. I have a lot of people that I've connected with. They're like, "Are you on WhatsApp?" Because it's like the easiest thing to use and call. So I think WhatsApp is catching on. But yeah, that's a good point, because we all use something different depending on where you're at in the world.
Yeah,
So,
it definitely makes a difference, and it's important to really understand that, because there's going to be a lot of different. It's about knowing where your audience is and being in front of them. So that's really the key thing.
yeah. Well, and I know we have a lot more to go over, like practical steps for someone that's considering AI and more. But we do need to take a quick break from a word from our sponsors, and we will be right back. So, Seb, you've helped a number of 7- and 8-figure earners scale their marketing efforts. Can you elaborate on how you help them do that?
Yeah, brilliant question. So we work a lot with service-based business owners, predominantly those that are following a one-to-many model with their products and services. So, for example, one of our clients is very much an events business. So they run a lot of conferences, online events as well, a lot of webinars. So they run a lot of those. They run several of those a week, actually, in some cases. So what we help them do is manage that process. And in order to do that effectively, you need to have the right automations and what we call back-end systems in place, where to run a lot of events at the same time simultaneously, you want to have a very simple cut and paste process for each of those events. You want to have the right landing page, which is high converting and going to get you the most amount of people registered for that event or webinar, in terms of people landing on the page. You need to have a bit of a template for that. You then need to have a bit of a template where it comes to, if we're still talking about an event, when someone registers for an event, and bear in mind this is a free event, you want to have a lot of reminders for that event leading up to the event. You want to have a lot of reminders with the logistical information in. If it's an online event, you want to have a Zoom link inside of each of those communications. If it's in person, obviously you want to have the venue information, dates, times, etc. And also have a bit of a process where if someone registers for an event, and let's say they're several days away from the event, you want to remind them why they registered for the event. What are some of the benefits? Why should they attend? Why should they be in the room? And more importantly, what are they missing out on if they don't attend? So these are all things that we look at when it comes to filling these events and also filling these webinars as well. So over the last few years, we've really developed a process where we can do a lot of that effectively and allow our clients and also ourselves to run a lot of these at scale, so that we're not spending hours and hours and hours manually sending emails, manually setting things up. We've got a bit of a rinse and repeat system created. So those are some of the things that we do on a daily basis as well.
So you work with do you work with small businesses as well as large businesses, or all
Yes,
sizes?
yeah, all sizes really. I mean, we do work with established businesses mainly, so we don't work with startups. It has to be an established business. So our ideal person is someone who is running a profitable business. Perhaps they're at six figures or near that six-figure level, or
Mm-hmm.
possibly past that, looking to get to multiple six figures and seven figures. But also, we do work with smaller businesses as well. So there is a bit of a mixture, because we are referred clients as well and referred people. But specifically, ideal person is a service-based business that is looking to follow that one-to-many model.
Right. So you meet with them and sit down and kind of find out what their needs are and help them to construct an AI or an automation for them.
Exactly. Yeah. One of the things that we do with, especially a new client, is we do a bit of an audit on what they already have in their business. So we look at, what does their current website or landing page look like? What do some of their automations look like? Do they have a CRM system? Is it set up correctly, or is it optimized as best as it can be? That's one of the things we do for new clients that we bring in, and also for existing clients, we do create a strategy around, what automation can we do in order to, it depends on the objective, but if the objective is to get more people registered for an event, something that we've been testing that's worked really well with, especially WhatsApp automation, if someone registers for an event, we've set up a WhatsApp automation where if someone registers for an event, they get sent a WhatsApp message, and there's a button in that WhatsApp message that says, do you have any questions? And then there's a bit of a process they can go through if they have questions. And a lot of that is automated. There's a manual element where
Mm-hmm.
they might ask a question and a human has to intervene and answer it. But that initial process, a big part of that is automated, and it works really well.
Yeah, and I think we've already touched on some of them, but what are some practical first steps for someone looking to implement automation in their marketing strategy?
Definitely. So one of the things I would say for sure is you need a CRM system. It's worth looking out there and seeing what CRM systems are best for you. Pretty much all of them have a free trial, or they have a 30-day money back guarantee. So I recommend finding a CRM system that definitely offers that. And you need to make sure it's fit for purpose. Some CRM systems only really work with email marketing, and they won't let you do much with landing pages. So that's one thing to look at, is making sure you're picking the right CRM system that does what you need it to do in your business. So this is why what I mentioned earlier about mapping out your automations, understanding that first before finding a CRM is really, really important. So you know if you're choosing the right CRM that's basically fit for the job. So that's the first thing I really recommend is, create the plan and the strategy before building it out. That's a really, really important thing. And, again, picking the right CRM system and software for you. Don't just look at costs, look at, again, features and what it can actually do for your business. It's better to pay for one that's slightly more expensive, but does the job, versus trying to get something cheap that you're not sure if it actually works or not. And I've definitely been there as well. So,
or maybe more difficult to use, or doesn't have the support, because I'm sure some of them have a better support or training videos. Because I would imagine a lot of people would need to try and learn how to, if they've never had a CRM, learn how to use a CRM and how to build
exactly,
one.
yeah.
Because like you already mentioned tags and stuff like that, but that's, could be totally foreign for somebody.
Exactly, yeah. So, and they all work differently. They all have, a lot of them have the same features but have different names for what they are. So one software might have tags, another software might call it a list, but it effectively is the same thing. So again, it's just as well as making sure it's got the features that you need and making absolutely sure that that's the case. Also look at usability as well, like exactly as you mentioned, Laura. Is this something that's really easy to use? Is it really simple? Um, and just making sure it's right for you and your business. So there's a lot of CRM softwares out there that are actually specific to specific types of businesses. There's one that a friend of mine built, which I'm not sure if it's still there anymore, but he built a CRM specifically for beauty salons and hair salons and that kind of thing. So it may be worth looking at CRMs that are built for a specific type of business, because they may be simpler and only have the features that that type of business would need. So it's worth considering doing a lot of research and due diligence on this, because a lot of your automations are going to be within the CRM. So it's quite a big decision, and you need to make sure that you're making a lot of checks before. Of course, you can move platforms, you can move CRMs, but you might outgrow a specific platform over time anyway. But it's worth making that time investment, just making sure you're picking the right one in the beginning, so you're not having to move too early in the process in your business.
Yeah. And would you say it might even be good to find maybe at like a similar business or someone that's similar to you that's using one, to kind of see if you like how it's going and find out what they're using as well?
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, one thing that I do in my industry as a digital marketer, I've got other friends who are digital marketers as well, and quite often we'll talk and discuss the new things that are coming up, the new software, the new tools, and we'll kind of share, bounce ideas off each other as well. And it may even be worth, if you do have a competitor, and you know that they're using good software, a good business, it might be worth just saying, "Hey, can I pay you for an hour of your time to learn about what you're doing?" The answer might be no, but if you're saying, "Hey, and if this is a business, that maybe they're kind of a new business, or it's just worth asking if they're open, especially if they do consultancy anyway. Some businesses
Yeah.
do." And just saying, "Hey, do you mind sharing a few things you're doing?" You don't have to ask them for everything, but you can say, "Can you show me what software you're using and give me an idea of the software?" That's different from saying, "Can you show me all of your tricks and trades and secrets in your business?" You got to word that the right way, obviously. But
Right.
yeah,
You're not asking them to give up all your secrets, just trying to kind of figure out what works for you. But yeah, and that's true, because in a lot of the world, everybody still looks at things as a competition. Me, I prefer to look at everything as a collaboration. But I know the whole business world is not at that state yet. So, but how do you ensure though that the human element remains intact when you're using AI tools?
yeah, that's a really good point. So the best thing I would say is create that personalization, that personalized touch. That's really, really important. Um, and what I've seen people do is actually be transparent about when they are using AI as well. So, for example, one of the things we're doing is we're testing out something where when a WhatsApp message is sent through an AI software, we will say, "Hey, this is your friendly or your bot friend Liz," who will give the bot a name, and we'll just be honest and say this is an
Mhm.
AI tool. Like, there's no point trying to hide that or dress up in a certain way. And I think people respect that honesty. So that's one way of looking at it. Another way is, as I mentioned, that personalization is really key, and also just making sure that your automations don't look too robotic, don't look too automated. You're better off using less automation and less kind of, I suppose, steps, making it less complicated and less fancy. If you're not entirely sure, you're better off just keeping it very simple. So let's say that you're sending an email and you want to make sure that the first name appears in the email correctly. Make sure that you do that before then trying to use like dynamic links and then trying to put loads of other things in the email, and you're not sure how they work. You're better off just send something really simple. So start with something simple, make sure it works, do a lot of testing, have other people test your automations, and that's the best way I would do it.
Yeah, I've seen, as a matter of fact, a lady do one of her videos, and she flat out said on there that this is her AI version of her, and if she wouldn't have said it, you probably wouldn't have even been able to tell. But she's like, it's 2 a.m. I don't look right. So she had the whole AI thing do the video and the tutorial, for her. But like you said, she was transparent, and I can appreciate that. But it was wild, because had she not said that, I would not have probably realized right off that was even AI. I would have thought it was her.
Yeah, there's a lot of the technology is always getting better and always improving. So there's definitely a lot of those are some really useful tools. In fact, I was speaking with a client the other day, and he's created an AI version of himself. He's a life coach, so he's created an AI version of himself that works through WhatsApp and is powered by WhatsApp, that he's sharing with his clients, so that he can, exactly as the example you said, he can literally coach people at 2 a.m, and it's personalized to the client as well. So the client is sending in a question, that like a very specific question about their situation. Maybe it's a question about how can I improve my relationship, and then giving a bit more context to this AI bot, and the AI bot will then read that and respond to it. So yeah, there's a lot happening with the technology. It's always improving and always getting better. But again, it's still always going to be a cover band.
Oh yeah, it's like computers and technology. You can buy a new phone today, and tomorrow it's going to be outdated, because they're already working on the next thing. But what advice would you give to those who are hesitant about embracing AI in their business practices?
So I would say, look at the upside rather than the downside. Think about how your business is running at the moment. If you're spending too much time on low value tasks, then it's worth looking at AI and automation. It's even potentially worth blocking out half a day or even a whole day to really understand what it can do. Even if you don't understand how to do it, it's just understanding the potential of it, and understanding and putting together again what it can do for your business. So I think it's worth dedicating some specific time to it and really understanding it. I think a lot of people don't understand its potential, like I say. So I really think, and other ways that you can do this, we've touched on this earlier, look at what other people are doing with AI. Go to their website, go through their sales cycle, their funnel process, whatever it is, their adverts, so you can see this process as well. A lot of other businesses are using it. You just might not understand what it can do. You might not understand, how to know, if that makes sense. So that would be my best advice, is just, jump in and again, start with something simple and then build from there with the AI side of things.
Yeah, and there's so many different tools out there. There's so many platforms now that have AI. Some of them you can actually program to sound like you, or to be empathetic or sincere, and not just have it just kick out, certain things. You can train it anyway to at least sound more like you. And I've seen AI that some platforms have, that tell it this, and that, and boom, it built a website in like less than 7 minutes or whatever. It was just boom, done. And it was really pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's incredible. I know I've seen GoDaddy are doing this recently, where exactly as you said, you can pretty much build an entire business with AI, and a lot of it is very low cost or free. Like with GoDaddy, you'd use AI to come up with a concept for your business. So it'd create like a business idea, and then it would create a domain name around it. So you'd have to pay for the domain name, which is like $15 a year or $10 a year. So it's very little money. And then there's like a low monthly fee to host the content on the domain name. But other than that, everything is pretty much generated by AI. It will build your website. It will add content. You just have to go in and maybe change a few things, update a few things. But yeah, you can use it to pretty much like most people who are, if anyone's listening and they're like a course creator or something like that, instead of taking weeks to build a course or a members area, you can literally do it in like minutes. Like you can do it pretty much instantly with AI. So there's a heck of a lot of potential and upside with it. And yeah, you can literally use it to build like a whole new product, a whole new concept for your business very, very quickly.
Yeah, and as you said, there's good and bad to everything. And you mentioned create content creators. I also know authors that have used AI to write books, but then I've also heard that some of the publishings and stuff are cracking down and can recognize that it was an AI and won't publish them. So, how do you see the future of AI and automation evolving in the next few years?
Yeah, awesome question. So I think it's going to take some time for AI to really get to a point where there'll be very little input. I still think for the next, couple of years, there'll need to be a lot of human intervention. For example, I use AI to, like I mentioned with the WhatsApp automation and the chatbot there. Um, we're still in testing phase with that, but we're still having to make changes and tweaks to the input of the AI and the input of the bot, which is powered by ChatGPT. So the way that that works, for a bit of context, is it will try and close the deal over WhatsApp. So someone is replying to the messages and the AI bot is sending them questions and trying to qualify them for the sale, which is really cool. So that's one example of, but even then, again, we'll need a human being to intervene when that person is qualified and the bot has effectively done its job. So there's still human intervention needed there. Another example is we use AI to write marketing emails, but there's still human intervention needed there, where we'll use the AI to create the bulk of the content, but we'll need an AI or a human even to double check the AI's work, make sure it's fit for purpose. So there's definitely, I don't think that at the moment there's enough technology or enough kind of knowledge. The AI is not experienced enough to be fully like standalone in a lot of cases. So, I reckon the next couple of years things are probably not going to change a huge amount until that kind of point where it's more standalone. So, but I definitely would say, start looking at AI now. It's definitely not too late. And ChatGPT is free. They have a paid version, but you can do most of what you need to for free. So it doesn't even cost you anything to even go and check it out. So there's really no excuse.
It's one of the platforms I started on, and it was really pretty amazing because if you just can't get your thoughts together, or someone like asked for a bio, I just kind of like typed in, what I do, a little bit about me, and poop, and I was like, wow, that was pretty cool. I'm like
Yeah,
in seconds. It's like, it gives you ideas for all kinds of things if you talk to it right. Got to kind of know
yeah,
how to talk to it right and manipulate it.
yeah. Make sure you say please and thank you because you never know, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Or when it keeps using delve and I'm like, okay, no, do not use that word. It's
yeah.
like, I don't sound like that. Don't use that word in here. Let's delve into there. But yeah. So,
Exactly. There's a lot you can do with it. One of my clients was showing me you can also plug it into other services, other websites as well. One of my clients was showing me, he's over in Canada, he was showing me how you can plug it into like Air Canada and you
mhm.
can use it to scan and find and book flights and you connect it with your Air Canada account. So you can connect with other services as well. So as well as using it to generate content, find information, you can link it with other, like you can use it for hotels as well, for travel.
Mhm.
So it can connect to a lot of other services as well, which is really cool. Just saves you loads of time.
I think automation in travel was one of the first things I noticed. Of course, it was mostly overseas, but how they can check things, how they got bots at the airport that can show you how to get to where, you need to go. Those have actually been around for quite a few years now, but a lot of us in the States did never even heard about it. So it's just different areas. How do you use AI mostly in your business and with other people? What ways do you use it?
So we definitely use it a lot for content creation. So email marketing, we've touched on that. We use it a lot for writing sales pages as well. So if we're selling a one of our services, then we use it to create the content there. You can also use it for generating images and videos. One of the things we use it for as well, because we run Facebook adverts for our clients and Instagram adverts, um, this is kind of already built into those. So it's not something that we've created as such, but Facebook and Instagram are using AI a lot in their platform as well, especially when it comes to adverts. So, for example, if you're running a Facebook advert, they've got a feature now where it uses AI. Let's say you create an advert on Facebook, it adds some music behind or to the advert. Let's say it's like an image advert, it adds some music to try and stop people in their tracks, and it finds music that's most relevant to your advert. So AI is in a lot of use in kind of the background as well. So that's really useful for us and our clients. Predominantly, though, it's for content generation. We have used it recently as well for problem solving. So we had a tech issue, one of our websites, and one of our automations. So we use it to kind of problem solve and diagnose one of the issues. So we've used it a bit more for kind of unusual stuff or stuff we haven't used it before for, but definitely for content creation predominantly.
Nice. So what lasting impact do you hope your work will have on individuals and businesses around the world?
Definitely. So really for us, our goal is to help business owners to buy their time back. So not only that, but helping businesses get their message across to other people. So, really for us, it's allowing our clients to do what they do best, and also to allow us to help people to buy their time back. That's something we're really passionate about. I know there's a lot of great business owners out there that have a life-changing product or service, but very few people know about it, and they're like the world's best kept secret. So that's what we help people do, is get better known and also use automation to buy your time back and free up your time a bit as well.
Yeah, and that's a very good point, because a lot of people become entrepreneurs or go into business so that they have more time with their family, but then it winds up being the opposite because they spend so much time in their business instead of having things automated and easier. But it can really be a time saver when you get the right one and you know how to use it.
Yeah, it definitely takes some time and some testing and experimenting. We'll consider ourselves like scientists because we always experiment all the time, but it definitely takes time to find that perfect process for sure.
Is there anything in particular you would say that people should be aware of or watch out for?
I think definitely not overusing automation, and make sure you're being yourself and being authentic. So we've kind of covered a little bit of that, but I think just making sure that you're getting your true message across and you're using automation to enhance that, and not allowing that to overtake your messaging as well. So what I mean by that specifically is a lot of people misuse AI, where they'll ask AI to generate a very generic email that doesn't really match their brand voice or their brand guidelines, and then they use it in their marketing. So that can be quite damaging to your brand and your business. So my advice would be, make sure that you are using AI, but you're really training it and setting it up the right way. And the same with your automations as well, making sure that it fits you and your brand. And because people will know if it's not you and it's not your voice, if they've been following you for a while or they're even a customer of yours. So that's really important to understand as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like I said, like those emails, it's like some of them, it may be worded like them, but when it's hit me up on the same thing, it's like, okay, now I know I'm in there. I'm just in an automated cycle. So, Seb, you have a YouTube channel as well, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
And so you give people, what do you do on the YouTube channel? Give people some tips and techniques for the AI automation, or
Yeah. So on my YouTube channel, I cover how to use AI marketing to buy your time back. I cover a lot of strategies around lead generation and really marketing in general. I also do share some specific tools and resources and tips on specific softwares as well, and CRM systems, and how you can use those in your business. So if you want some more specific stuff, that's a good place to go. Definitely.
oh yeah, it's definitely good. Like I said, there are so many out there to choose from too, because that can all get to be a time suck and overwhelming too when you're trying to dig into everything, especially if you're a one person band running your business.
Exactly. Yeah. You want to really free up your time. I work with some, I've just spoken with a client today who's a small business owner. He only has a couple of staff and they're kind of part-time and they're consultants, but he runs a profitable multiple six-figure business. And he doesn't need lots and lots of staff. He doesn't need lots of people full time because he's understood automation and AI and using that in his business.
Yeah. And I just spoke with somebody recently, not long before we had even got on here, that was emphasizing the need for, CRM and automating things. They're like, take it from me, or you wind up in the hospital trying to, do everything yourself. You run yourself into the ground. So, but yeah, it really can do a lot. We have a few minutes left. What would you like to leave with everybody with today?
Definitely. So, the way I'd like to leave it is kind of covering some of what we're already covered, but just get started with AI and automation. Just find your feet with it. Again, find an expert if needs be who can find the right automations and AIs and set up for you and your business. That would be my best suggestion, because it's just going to save you so much time in the long run. So that would be my suggestion, is just make a start on, and you don't necessarily have to do AI and automation at the same time. Just pick one or the other. With a lot of people, automation is probably the best place to start. Again, simple automation such as welcome emails for customers, or maybe some follow-up emails for potential clients, getting them to become a client as well. And it's about understanding the end goal as well. Being very clear on the end goal is really, really key. So that would be my best advice. And of course, hiring experts as well is really going to save you a lot of time. You may only need to hire someone for a few hours if it's going to be some simple automations. You may not even be spending that much money, but you're just buying your time back, and that's something you can never. You can't get more time back. You can get more money back, but you can get more. You don't want to be spending weeks and months figuring out automations and spinning new wheels when you don't have to. Even if it costs you what might be a lot of money to you to hire someone to do this for you, I recommend whoever it is and whatever route you go down to do that, it is up to you. But it's just, it's something really worth doing.
Yeah, and definitely it could be worth more in the long run. Like you said, if it's costing you your health and stuff, then it's really costing you more than what it would have cost to just hire somebody, like you said, even for a few hours to get that help and support and get everything rolling. So
Agreed. Yeah, it's super, super key, and I can't recommend it enough. Going that route, it's just 80% done is the new 100% done. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect. Don't wait till things are perfect. Obviously, automation has to work. That's really important. So that's why I say it's got to be 80% done, because that's got to be right. It's got to be correct and functional. But it doesn't have to be 100%. You don't have to be a perfectionist. Take that from me, who's a recovering perfectionist.
you and me both. I have ditched perfectionism. I tell people I am perfectly imperfect. I am good with it. You live happy. You live happier. You live longer that way. But
agreed.
Seb, thank you so much for taking the time to be on here. And everybody, there's his YouTube channel. The QR code is up in the corner, so definitely check those videos out, especially if you're trying to figure out what platform or what strategy, or definitely reach out to Seb. He obviously is very well versed with marketing and AI and automation, and I want to thank you for taking the time to share that with everybody today.
Great stuff, and thanks again once more for having me on here, and I hope it was really useful what I shared. And very, very excited to hear the feedback. It's been really, really good. Really enjoyed it.
You bet. Thank you. So everyone, have a wonderful week, and we will see you next time.